Well, first, I hadn't, I wasn't looking for another office. I had not, up until really a few weeks ago, considered running for governor. But a number of folks came to me, in the business community in particular, but who were simply worried about our prospects for success and what should be a good year for our side. And we'll see tomorrow, based on what happens in Massachusetts, could be an awesome year. But clearly, folks they're I think they're scared. They're worried about the direction of the country. They're worried about what's going to happen to the health care. They're worried about debt. And so, folks came to me. I'd governed in St. Paul 8 years, didn't raise taxes, cut 3/4 licenses to do business, grew 18,000 jobs because of creating an environment that folks wanted to invest in. And I'll add the other element to this, Luke, that my politics have been politics that try to find common ground and try to overcome the partisan divide. And I think there are a lot of folks that are looking for that. They want to stop the bickering, and you got one party in Washington reshaping 1/6 of the economy without input from the other side. That's a terrible way for democracy to work. And so I had a lot of folks come to me, and so I gave it thought, and I thought I could. I had the skill set, and I say it humbly, but the experience of having governed in a way that grew jobs of being fiscally responsible. And looked at the Rasmussen polls, a couple of those polls that had me 40 points above our other candidates. I thought politically this could work, and that I could provide good service to the state. However, I also had to weigh the personal aspects of this, and because I hadn't been seriously considering running for governor, so I was in a position where precinct caucuses are 2 weeks, and I simply was not in a position to put a hold on everything that I've been doing. Simply not in a position to begin the prospect of working the delegates, which I believe was important to do. And I believed I could win a primary, but I was not going to ignore the endorsement process. I was not going to ignore visiting, talking to, listening to the delegates, the rank and file, the base that so critical to any ultimate victory. And so I found myself in a position where I simply couldn't make the commitment to do what I thought needed to be done in order to ultimately be successful. I say in my statement, I love the state, I love Minnesota, I love service, but timing, it's not right for me. It's not right for me, my family, to conduct a campaign for governor now. So that's kind of the background. It was very kind of looking at what one could offer, looking at the politics of it, how do you get there, but then looking at the personal commitments and the timing, and I couldn't walk in. I'll be in D.C. tomorrow to the group that I've been working with, putting together this Public Policy Institute, and say, okay, folks, I'm done coming to work as of next week because I got a campaign in Minnesota for the next 10 months. I just couldn't do that. So that's a little bit of the background. We have great candidates. We have talented folks out there. They certainly will face the challenge of getting better known and getting out to the state to understand what their vision is. But across the board, their vision is better than a vision on the other side, which almost uniformly supports getting a government-controlled health care, eliminating private health care in this state. That would be a disaster. It's, I think, 6 or 7 of the folks on the other side have signed up for that terrible vision. If Governor Pawlenty wasn't there, and if we didn't have a Republican in the governor's office, we'd be facing the highest tax rate in the nation. We've seen in Washington the disaster of one party having complete control and the failure to take into consideration the concerns of a vast segment of the public. That shouldn't happen in Minnesota. So we've got good candidates with kind of basic core principles that are the right principles for the state. They're just going to have to work hard to get better known and to communicate a positive vision, which I'm sure they'll be capable of. So but at this point in time, I'm not endorsing anyone, but my commitment is to do the things to make sure that our team wins. It's pretty basic. People want jobs and they want fiscal responsibility. We've got a huge budget deficit we're facing here, and so they fundamentally, the job. I would say jobs the most critical issue. There's a different conversation at the breakfast table when mom and dad is working. I used to say the best health care program is a job, the best access to housing is a job. Quality of life is about a job. So I think folks are looking for a candidate who understands things that have to be done in order to promote an environment in which the entrepreneurs want to grow jobs. I think a big piece of that is tied into fiscal responsibilities, is understanding that the key to that is not more spending, but getting cost of government under control. But understanding that it's about good government, not anti-government. It's getting government that is effective and not wasteful. And so I think our candidates have to focus on the spending issue and the jobs issue. And if they do that, I think we're going to tap into the wave that is out there that is concerned about massive spending that is not producing effective government. I mean, healthcare is a good example. They spend over $1 trillion and going to do little to control costs or improve quality. Question. I mean, I took great pride in the work I did on UN reform. I kind of led the way there, and I wish that one of my laments not being in the Senate is that work isn't being continued now, and we still spend over $5 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars on that. So that's a fiscal responsibility issue that I thought I made a significant contribution. I was kind of one of the only folks out there fighting that fight. On energy, I'm a great believer in ending dependence on foreign oil, and championed that cause, and even for this state, the ban we have on more nuclear facilities, I think that's a mistake. I think nuclear energy is part of our future, and so many folks on the other side give lip service to it, but in the end, really don't support efforts to expand nuclear energy. And so the energy conservation issue was one that's important to Minnesotans, because, by the way, we can do, the other side kind of is claiming the mantle of green jobs. In Minnesota, we should be claiming that mantle. We're the ones who are looking at a truly broad, comprehensive energy approach. They just look kind of in a narrow perspective. They cut out more production. They cut out consideration of more production. The other side cuts out consideration of nuclear energy. I think that's wrong. We can do the whole package: conservation, or renewable energy, more nuclear, more production. We should do it all. And so I was part of discussions, bipartisan discussions, with folks like Ken Conrad of North Dakota, and on our side, Saxby Chambliss and Lindsey Graham, and others, about a broad, comprehensive energy proposal. And unfortunately, when the economy collapsed, people turned their focus off energy and on to other issues. I think that's one that we need to constantly kind of attend to, because I do think it has an impact on job growth and economic security. So those are, in terms of regrets, I'm not a guy that has a lot of regrets. I can't say that that everything I've always done is right. I'm not that prideful, but I'm proud of the service that I provided. I was one oftentimes, who really thought it was important to move forward the discussion. And sometimes that would, get some folks upset. Well, why are you supporting this particular bill? And I would tell folks that it wasn't supporting that particular bill. I supported moving forward with the debate. I thought we were there to solve problems. You couldn't solve problems if you didn't have the debate. Ultimately, if it was a bad bill, then you vote against it. I mean, immigration was an example. I voted to move on cloture on a couple of occasions to keep the debate going, but in the end, then said no, the final product doesn't work. Oftentimes, some folks don't even want to have the discussion. I want to have the discussion. Dealing with the whole issue of the environment, I think Republicans need to kind of claim the mantle as being protectors of the environment, and that's been our history. And unfortunately, the other side puts forward, cap and tax proposals, and that stops folks on our side from wanting to even look at the issue of, can you create market-based alternatives to dealing with issues of pollution? Can we do more effectively to have a clean environment without negatively impacting jobs? It's not one way or the other. I think it's important to have the debate. So, I don't have a lot of regrets, except that the work, for instance, on energy is still unfinished, and I would have liked to continue in particular on that issue to be part of the solution rather than just be part of the conversation.